the thing I saw in the laundromat window had my face. The silence is what's killing me. Lale saw the driver's side window this morning. She just stopped, her keys frozen halfway to the car door, and stared at the spider web of fractured glass. She looked back at our apartment window, right at me, and then just got in her car and left for work. No shout, no phone call, just silence. I should have just told her the truth. But how do you tell your wife you met your own decaying twin at the laundromat at 5 in the morning? I'm a creature of the night. Always have been. Lale works a brutal 6 a.m. shift at the hospital, so her head hits the pillow by 11. That's when my night begins. I'm studying for my securities license, which is just a bullshit excuse to stay up until the birds start to chirp, fueled by coffee and a deep, gnawing anxiety I've carried since I was a kid. It makes me weird. I know it does. Layla calls it my watchtower duty, the way I'll stand in the dark for an hour, my eye pressed to the peephole, just watching the empty, piss-yellow hallway. I'm not looking for anyone in particular. I'm just waiting for a shape that doesn't belong. My family jokes about it. Amir's on patrol again. They don't get it. They don't feel the constant thrum of wrongness under the surface of things. They don't see the man sitting alone at a diner and feel an immediate, instinctual certainty that he's there for you. I do. My whole life is a series of held breaths. I guess it's all connected to what happened. I'm trying to make it make sense. 2 nights ago, we did a deep clean of our tiny apartment. I volunteered for laundry duty. I hauled our stuff to the complex laundromat, a squat little cinder block building at the edge of the parking lot. I threw it in, moved it to the dryer, and came home. Everything normal. Last night, Layla was drifting off, her head tucked under my chin. Her voice was thick with sleep. Habibi, you forgot the clothes. I had. They'd been sitting in the dryer for nearly 2 days. It's late, I said. I'll get them tomorrow. She shifted. Please, they'll get that mildew smell. And I don't want them to end up in the lost and found bin. I can admit I'm a coward, but anyone would say that place is fucked up after dark. The lights inside are this weird surgical green. The main street light outside strobes like a dying firefly, and the doors are heavy, industrial things that seal you inside with a dead, humming silence. It feels like a room that sound forgot. But Layla was right. I'd be up for hours anyway, so I agreed. I told her I'd go later. For the next 4 hours, I sat in the living room, the blue light of the TV flickering over my face, fighting a war in my own head. Go. Don't go. It's just clothes. It's a fucking tomb over there. My cowardice was winning by a landslide. It was 4:45 a.m. when I finally ran out of excuses. I pulled on my shoes and stepped outside. The air was cold and heavy, thick with the smell of rain on hot asphalt. Our old Honda was slick with dew. Let's get this over with, I whispered to the empty parking lot. The drive was maybe 45 seconds. I could have crawled and gotten there faster, but there was no way in hell I was walking. The laundromat was just as I'd pictured it, that sterile green light spilling out onto the wet blacktop. It looked like a set for some low-budget horror movie, an operating theater for ghosts. I pushed open the heavy door and the silence hit me. It was unnaturally warm inside, the air thick and stagnant. I walked straight to our dryer, yanking our stiff, forgotten clothes out and stuffing them into the basket. My only goal was to break the land speed record for folding laundry. Then I heard it. A sound that wasn't a machine. A dry, scraping whisper that slid right into my ear. Amir. My blood went cold. My knuckles went white around a balled-up t-shirt. It sounded like it came from right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Just rows of silent, watching machines. I went back to the clothes, my hands shaking. My heart was a hammering drum in my chest. Prank. It's a prank. Some other student fucking with me. Then the voice came again, this time from the other side of the row of washers, where I couldn't see. It wasn't a whisper now. It was a gurgling, wet question. Did you forget what you look like? The voice was all wrong. It was high, but with a low, gravelly rattle underneath, like a sick child trying to imitate a monster from a cartoon. It was mocking, playful. I abandoned the last few socks. Fuck the socks. I grabbed the basket and walked, fast, not running. You don't run. Running tells them you're scared. I gripped my car keys in my fist, the teeth sticking out between my fingers. A shitty, desperate weapon. I rounded the bank of washers, bracing myself. But there was nobody there. The room was empty. Bright, green, and utterly empty. A wave of relief washed over me so hard my knees almost buckled. I let out a shaky breath that was half a sob. I was losing my mind. Sleep deprivation. Paranoia. That's all it was. I shoved the door open and practically fell into the driver's seat of my car. As the engine turned over, my headlights cut through the dark, illuminating the laundromat's big plate glass window. And I saw it. There was a man standing inside. At first, it was just a shape, bony and thin. Hair the color of old straw, matted and sticking out in all directions. He was wearing a hospital gown. It was stark white, almost glowing in the green light, and weirdly, perfectly clean. His eyes were small and dark, rat eyes, and his mouth. His lips were cracked and peeling, stained a dull, rusty red, like he'd been chewing on them for a week. They were stretched into a wide, vacant smile. He just stood there, staring at me. Then, slowly, he brought his hands up to his face. His fingers were long and spidery, with nails that were thick and yellow. He hooked his thumbs into the corners of his smile and began to pull, stretching the skin on his face taut. The smile got wider, more grotesque, bearing a line of teeth the color of old pennies. His little rat eyes squinted into slits. Then he started running. He took a sharp right, sprinting down the aisle toward the exit, his bare feet slapping on the linoleum. He was fast, unnaturally fast. I saw his lanky form blur past the windows. Panic seized me. My hands turned to useless stumps. I jammed the key toward the ignition and dropped it. Of course, it clattered somewhere down by the pedals. I scrambled for it, my breath catching in my throat, my lungs on fire. I found the keys, sat back up, and he was there. He wasn't pressed against the glass. He was standing about a foot from my door, perfectly still under the flickering parking lot light. The horrible, stretched face mask was gone. He was just smiling now. A quiet, knowing smile. And in that smile, I saw my own crooked front tooth. I saw the tiny, crescent-shaped scar above my lip from when I fell off my bike at age 7. I saw the small, triangle-shaped birthmark over my left eyebrow. It was my face, stretched over a frame of bones that were too sharp, too thin. A version of me that had been left in a damp basement to rot. I couldn't scream. The air was gone from my lungs. He looked at me. My reflection. My death. He raised one hand, his yellow fingernail tracing a line in the air. He reached out and gently, almost delicately, touched the tip of his index finger to my window. The glass didn't crack. It exploded. A deafening pop, and a shower of tiny, glittering cubes rained down all over me. That's what broke the spell. I slammed the car into reverse, tires screeching on the wet pavement. I put a few yards between us and looked back. He was still standing there, unmoving, the smile gone. His face was a blank canvas. His clean hospital gown fluttered in the pre-dawn breeze. There was blood on his fingertip now, a single perfect red bead. I don't remember the drive home. It's a total blank. 1 second I was there. The next I was parked in my designated spot, the engine ticking, my hands bleeding from where I'd gripped the steering wheel. The passenger seat was covered in glass. I stumbled into the apartment and locked the door. I didn't sleep. I just sat on the couch in the dark, shaking, watching the black sky slowly fade to gray. Layla came out around 5:45, dressed for work. She stopped when she saw me. I must have looked like hell. "You okay, Habibi?" she asked, her voice soft with concern. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I couldn't say anything. The words were trapped behind my teeth. I just stared at her. She sighed, probably thinking I was just tired. She leaned down, kissed my cheek, and grabbed her purse. "I'll call you on my lunch break." I listened to her footsteps go down the stairs. I heard her keys jingle. Then, a pause. A long one. Her voice came, not shouted, but sharp and clear through the thin apartment walls. Amir, what happened to the car? I'm still sitting here. The sun is up. The question is just hanging in the air. What happened to the car? What do I say? Who would ever believe me? I'm not sure I believe me, but I can still feel the glass in my hair, and I can still see my own rotten face smiling at me from the dark.